All right, well, first question. Are you watching the World Series, and do you have a preferred team?
Well, as much as I can, because I had a commitment to do a guest on a show, but I'm a baseball freak. I've watched it all my life. I think it's the perfect sport. I think it's athletic chess. Every time I see a game, I see something I never saw before. I have season tickets to the Dodgers.
Okay.
My kids play ball. I love all sports, but baseball is my favorite. So I followed the World Series. I picked the Tigers to win because of pitching. I'm amazed, though, as baseball always amazes me, that the Giants would be 2 games ahead.
So the reason I bring up baseball is that this vlog that we're doing this for, I'm juxtaposing the World Series against the presidential debates and just kind of how the media generally covers politics, and they tend to view it through a very sports-like...
Yeah, it's winning and losing. It's a certain thing. There's a final score. There is a final result. I always admired both athletes and politicians because they do something that you and I don't do. They face a day. That is, there is a winner. There is a loser. Saturday night, someone will win that game between the Giants and the Tigers, and someone will win the series. On Tuesday night, November 6th, someone will win the election. So there is a winning and losing. We don't face winning. I don't face winning and losing. Oh, you might have bad ratings, low ratings.
Sure.
But I don't have a day where I win or lose something. Athletes and politicians do.
Well, it was very telling to me when I was watching. I was watching CNN's coverage of the final presidential debate, and like the cynic in me just kind of leapt out as soon as I saw they had that little meter at the bottom tracking
I don't watch that.
The undecided voters. And so it's just kind of weird to me that the most important conversation we have as a culture really is condensed to this 90-minute made-for-TV sort of drama. Like, as someone who just made the transition from cable to the internet, don't you think that maybe there might be some sort of less superficial way to do it?
It is what it is. We've always had debates. Lincoln-Douglas debates were famous. I would have loved to attend those debates. Lincoln and Douglas were running for the Senate in Illinois, and they went around the state debating with no moderator. There was no television or radio, so it was just for the crowd there. And Lincoln would speak, Douglas would speak, they would question each other. Douglas won that election, by the way. So debates are part of the culture, as is competition. That debate was, if you look at it, right, that debate was a Giant-Tiger game. And as the Giants put a man on base, the crowd got up. And if the Tigers got a man on base, the Giant crowd went down. So you're following this. Now, does it mean anything? No, it had nothing to do with what happened on the field. So all that reaction that you see on the screen, the pulse beat, the beat goes up, goes down, I don't know what it means.
Sure.
It's interesting, it's visual, I don't know what it means.
When I was a guest on OraTV after the vice presidential debate, one thing that I tried to bring up was you asked me if I'd like to see the candidates on the internet more. And I suggested, well, maybe they could video blog. And what I began to say is that what I love about the medium of video blogging is there's no pressure of being live. You don't have to think on your feet. You can write out exactly what you mean, and the debate doesn't happen in real time. It's kind of a back and forth and back and forth. So do you see any way that might possibly translate into a presidential election context, or is that kind of a pipe dream at this point?
I don't know. You know something? As I was telling someone, I moderated a technology conference in Montreal this week, in which I heard 9 geniuses, really 9. The founder of the internet was on it.
Oh, wow.
And where all this is going, I have no idea. We may vote someday by what our brain thinks. Obama's a vote for Obama. We may have little things in our head that vote. I mean, to forecast tomorrow with the technology available to us is incredible. So you could tell me almost anything. They said at this conference, for example, within 3 years, there'll be no such thing as money.
Huh. What will replace money?
It'll be an implant. It'll be an implant or just a card. You'll have a card and it'll take care of all your money.
So you mean physical money?
Everything, no dollar bills.
Okay. So
no money. You may sometime, there'll be a voice play. You'll check out at the grocery store and you'll say Larry King, and that clears the groceries.
Sure.
Your bank account will be subject to things just by that. No one can ape your voice, so you'll have your own voice. Imitation won't work. All voice sounds are different.
Okay.
I mean, it's like crazy. Everything in the world will be in your iPhone.
And so this is within the nenext presidential term.
Yeah, next. So what will elections look like in 20 years?
Yeah. Well, do you see a future for political parties? Because
hopefully there'll be more. I'm not a fan of the two-party system. Two parties tend to inculcate themselves. They won't vote themselves out of office, so they don't open. So the only way you're going to happen, the way it's going to happen is it's going to be somebody, a physical person, a Perot, a Nader, will come forward and will take advantage of a weakness on both sides, dynamite it all, and become an independent candidate. And a elected president. We will have an elected independent president.
Okay. I want to talk a little bit about just your history watching presidential elections. 2008 was my first election, so I don't have a whole lot of context for...
I've been watching them listening to them since 48, and I was 15 years old, listening to the conventions when the Democrats nominated Truman. He had succeeded Roosevelt, who had died, and the Republicans nominated Dewey. Dewey was a major favorite, so big a favorite, there was no television, that they stopped polling because no one wanted to pay for the polling services. Dewey was and Truman in those last 3 weeks did a train ride across America and upset the election. So I've been a political junkie ever since then. 52 election, Eisenhower. 56 Eisenhower re-elected. 60 Kennedy. Kennedy-Nixon was the first televised debate. The first debate.
Well, and so how did the introduction of presidential debates themselves change?
1960, Kennedy-Nixon, that changed it, because if you listened to that debate, just listened, as I did, I was driving home from, driving to Miami from Orlando, I thought it was a tie.
Okay.
Then I get to the radio station, everybody was saying, did you see that? Kennedy killed him. What killed him? It was a tie. But Kennedy was tan, he looked great. Nixon had just come out of the hospital, didn't have good makeup. It became visual. How did they look?
Well, and so would you say that has changed I mean... It
has. Gore lost to Bush in 2000, even though he got more popular vote, because he smirked and because he
checked his watch, right?
Bush checked it. No, George H.W. Bush checked his watch against Clinton and Perot in 92.
Okay.
Looked at his watch. Death. You're bored, we're bored with you. So everything became visual. It is a visual media now.
Well, and so with the introduction of the internet and the conversation never stopping, do you think that will lead to more superficial politics or less?
I don't know. Well, I don't know. Maybe less. And nothing's private. Romney makes a speech to donors, tells them he's not interested in 47%. Someone gets an iPhone, takes that and goes all over the world.
Yeah.
So another thing is, all news is, there's nothing going to happen, Dan. If something happened right now, right this second, in the world, a major impact, the whole world would know it.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing about the 47% comment to me was that, I mean, well, I'm curious to know what you would think. If that had happened in, say, 1980 instead of 2012, somehow it leaked that the Republican candidate doesn't care about 47%, blah, 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 would that have been the end of their candidacy? Because I think that today the news cycle is so short. We've already kind of
well, a lot of it's timing.
Yeah.
If the speech were made 2 days before the election, it would have buried Romney.
Yeah.
But you got time to overcome it.
Well, thank you so much, Larry King, for taking time to sit down.
What I like about you, Dan, is that not only you be a nice guy and you're very bright, is you have one of the last world's nice names. You have a name that's easy to remember. It's a normal name. Your name is not Lafayette Wilkinson. No one's named John anymore. Bob. But you are a normal guy.
I share it with that author, though, so I always get that.
Dan Brown. Yeah, he wrote the religious.
Yeah, the Da Vinci Code. Yeah.
The Da Vinci Code. Interesting guy, Dan Brown.
I've never met him yet.
I forgot his name.
Cool.
Thanks.
Yeah. Dan. Well, thank you so much.
Larry King now will be covering election night. Will come to you on Hulu and YouTube. On our base is OraTV, which is kind of a brand new network. How long have we been up? 2-3 months? And it's founded by Carlos Slim, and I'm his partner in this. It's a wonderful venture. It's the internet. Having a lot of fun doing it. And on election night, we'll be on with many guests, and we'll be on, I think, till the wee small hours.
And so if people want to watch that, they just go to youtube.com/OraTV?
Right.
Cool.